If you end most days exhausted but with nothing actually finished, this is for you. If you don't fix this, your nights will keep disappearing into email, group chats, and guilt. Today I'll give you one rule and one simple line that turns scattered screen time into real progress. The part that will surprise you is how we slow your day down without making you lazy. If that sounds like something you need, stay with me. Your laptop is open on the kitchen table again. One browser window is stacked with tabs: work email, a spreadsheet, a project doc, a YouTube tab that was just for a minute, and a shopping cart you don't even remember filling. Your phone is face up next to you, lighting up every few seconds with group chats and Slack notifications. You tell yourself you're catching up, but your shoulders are tight, your stomach's doing that low-level anxious twist, and you keep glancing at the clock wondering where the entire evening went and why nothing is actually finished. Here's the hard truth most people never say out loud: your brain isn't overwhelmed because you have too much to do. It's overwhelming because you're trying to stare at too many things at once. Multitasking doesn't make you productive, it just lets you feel busy while your real work quietly dies in the background. You know this pain already. At work, it's the half-written email that sits in your drafts for days while you bounce between Slack and your browser. With money, it's the "I'll look at my budget tonight" tab that's always open but never touched. In your personal life, it's missing a message from someone you care about because it disappeared under 20 other notifications. And underneath all of that is the quiet shame of ending yet another day thinking, "I was at my screen all day, why do I have so little to show for it?" If nothing changes, you don't just lose time. You lose trust in yourself. You stop believing your own plans. Today, we're going to fix that with something deceptively simple. By the time we're done here, you'll know how to build a single-task workspace on whatever device you're using right now. You'll learn how to run your day in a 25/5 cadence, so you're alternating focused sprints with short resets instead of grinding yourself into dust. And you'll create a small completion ritual that tells your brain, "This is done," so you can close the loop and move on without that constant mental drag. Educational content inspired by classical Stoic texts. Not medical, psychological, or legal advice. First, we'll strip your work down to one screen at a time, so your brain isn't constantly forced to choose between 5 different priorities. Next, we'll zoom in on why your attention keeps leaking, and we'll put some structure around your time using simple 25/5 cycles. Then we'll address the social side, how to set expectations with your coworkers, clients, and loved ones so your new focus doesn't get sabotaged the moment someone pings you. After that, we'll walk through how to end a work block with a simple completion ritual that makes your accomplishments visible and satisfying. Finally, we'll put it all together in a real-life scenario so you can see exactly how this saves you from an evening that would normally end in stress, snapping at someone, or doom scrolling. In a bit, we'll walk through a Friday night moment where your phone starts blowing up, your boss needs something quick, and someone you care about is trying to talk to you, and instead of exploding or shutting down, you'll use the one-screen rule to stay calm and in control. Stay with me until the very end, and while you're here, hit like, tap subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Here's the first big shift: you only get one active screen at a time when you're doing real work. That means when you're writing, it's just your doc. When you're budgeting, it's just your bank app or spreadsheet. When you're replying to messages, it's just that conversation. You don't keep something open in the background just in case. You decide what matters for the next block of time, and every other screen is either closed or minimized. If you never change this, your brain keeps trying to judge 5 priorities at once and ends up defaulting to whatever is easiest, loudest, or most emotionally charged, which is almost never the thing that moves your life forward. Why does this work? Your attention is like a spotlight, not like Wi-Fi. It doesn't broadcast evenly across 10 tabs. Every time you switch between tasks, your brain has to reload context: what you were doing, where you left off, what decisions were pending. That reload cost is small once, but multiplied across a day, it's brutal. The one-screen rule cuts that reload cost by forcing you to commit: right now, this one thing matters. It also lowers anxiety, because your brain isn't constantly scanning for "what else am I supposed to be doing?" It knows, if it's not on this screen, it's not in this block. As a calmer, more focused version of you, that's the identity you're practicing: someone who finishes what they start, instead of someone who constantly peeks at everything and completes nothing. You can anchor this with one simple line: for the next 25 minutes, this is the only screen that matters. Say it out loud if you need to. When your hand reaches for your phone or your mouse starts drifting toward another tab, repeat it, nope. For this block, this is the only screen that matters. Imagine you're at your desk on a Tuesday afternoon. You've got Outlook open, Slack active, a Google Doc half written, and a tab with your personal Amazon cart because you were just checking something. A coworker pings you with a quick question, an email comes in from your boss, and you suddenly remember you were supposed to double-check a number in a spreadsheet. The old pattern is to bounce. You click the email, start replying, get stuck on a sentence, flip to Slack, answer halfway, then check Amazon again because your brain wants something easy. 30 minutes later, you've touched 5 things and completed none of them. Now apply the one-screen rule. You look at your to-do list and pick the single thing that matters for the next block, finishing the report that's due today. You close Slack, minimize your email, and bring your doc into full screen. Your phone goes screen down on the desk or in another room. You say your line, for the next 25 minutes, this is the only screen that matters. The Slack notification pops. You don't switch. The email counter climbs. You don't switch. 25 minutes later, you've moved the report from 30% done to 80% done. That's a completely different day. The tiny action today is straightforward. Pick one block of your day, maybe the next 25 minutes, and enforce a single active screen. Close or minimize everything else. No exceptions, no just to check. You're not redesigning your whole life yet, you're proving to yourself, once, that you can hold one screen and actually finish more. The next shift is this: you don't just choose one screen, you choose exactly when you're allowed to touch it. That's where the 25 to 5 cadence comes in. Instead of sitting in front of your device for 3 fuzzy hours, you'll work in 25-minute focus blocks followed by 5-minute reset breaks. 25 minutes of one-screen work, 5 minutes to stand up, look away, check something quick, or breathe. Then back into another 25. If you never put this structure around your time, your focus becomes a negotiation every minute, and you'll keep losing that negotiation to fatigue, mood, or whatever happens to ping you. This works because your brain isn't built for endless focus. Short, defined sprints are more sustainable than vague, I'll just grind until this is done sessions. When your mind knows there's a break coming, it's more willing to stay with a task a little longer. The 5-minute reset lowers the urge to just scroll during the work block, because you've already scheduled a small release valve. You also gain something crucial: clean edges. Instead of your day feeling like one giant smear of half-focused effort, it becomes a series of clear, manageable efforts. As a more intentional version of yourself, you're not someone who works all day. You're someone who runs deliberate cycles to get specific things done. You can give yourself a microscript that locks this in: I work in 25-5 cycles now, not in endless mush time. When you're tempted to say, I'll just keep going until I'm tired, redirect yourself with, no, I'll run 2 25-5 rounds, then decide. Picture a Thursday morning. You've got 3 things on your plate: a slide deck for tomorrow, a set of emails you've been avoiding, and a personal task like renewing your car registration. Usually, you'd sit down, open everything, and poke at the slides, then flip to email when you feel stuck, then half-heartedly Google the DMV site. By noon, nothing is fully done, and your stress level is up. Instead, you decide to run 3 25/5 cycles. First cycle, one screen, your slide deck in full screen. You say, I work in 25/5 cycles now, not in endless amounts of time. You start the timer. For 25 minutes, you do nothing but outline and fill in those slides. The timer ends, and you stand up, stretch, grab water, and maybe glance at texts for a minute or two within the 5-minute window. Second cycle, one screen, your email client. You pick a batch of messages and knock them out for 25 minutes. Third cycle, one screen, your DMV tab. You use that block to navigate the site, fill in forms, and pay the fee. After 90 minutes total, you have 3 concrete advances or completions instead of a sludge of half-finished attempts. The tiny action for this idea is simple: today, run just 2 25/5 cycles on purpose. Set a timer for 25 minutes, pick one screen for that block, then take a real 5-minute break. Do it twice in a row, even if you feel like I could just keep going. You're training rhythm, not heroics. Now we tackle something that quietly ruins your focus: undefined tasks. You can have one screen and a 25/5 timer, but if the thing you're supposed to do is vague, work on a project, handle finances, catch up on life stuff, your brain will look for any excuse to bail. The shift here is to define one concrete outcome per block before you even open the screen. If you don't do this, your mind will default to whatever feels urgent or emotionally loaded in the moment, and your focus block will dissolve into reactive clicking. This works because clarity reduces friction. When you can answer, in one sentence, what does done look like for this block, your brain has something to aim at. There's less room for bargaining or second guessing. You also create a small but powerful satisfaction loop. Every time you hit that defined outcome, your brain gets a clear "we did it" signal, which makes it easier to sit down for the next block. As someone building a more disciplined identity, you want your days to be a chain of specific completions, not a mood-driven shuffle through tasks. Here's the line you can use: for this block, done looks like one concrete outcome. Examples: for this block, done looks like drafting 3 slides. For this block, done looks like reconciling my transactions from last week. For this block, done looks like replying to the 5 most important emails. Say it before you start, not halfway through. Imagine you get home from work at 6:30 p.m. You're tired, but you also know you need to touch a few personal tasks: your credit card bill, a message from your landlord, and a text from your sister that's been sitting there. The old version of your evening is to sit on the couch, open your phone, and jump between apps. You look at your bank app, get stressed, switch to Instagram, laugh at something, then feel guilty, then flip to texts, then decide you're too tired to think about this and open Netflix. Instead, you sit down at the table with your laptop and phone. You decide to run one 25/5 block. Before you open anything, you say, for this block, it looks like paying my credit card bill and replying to my landlord. One screen, your bank app or browser tab. You log in, check the balance, and schedule the payment. Then you move to email or text for your landlord and type the reply. Only when those 2 outcomes are done do you consider the block successful. The text from your sister becomes the first outcome for a future block, not a guilty background noise. The tiny action, before your next focus block, whether it's work or personal: pause for 10 seconds and finish the sentence out loud or in writing. For this block, done looks like, make it one outcome, not a list. You're practicing aiming your attention at a clear finish line. The next problem is that your devices are designed to fight your focus. Notifications, badges, and sounds are constant invitations to abandon your one-screen rule. If you rely on willpower alone, you'll lose. So the shift here is to create focus modes and reply windows. You decide when you're reachable and when you're not, and you teach your tools to support that decision instead of sabotaging it. If you skip this step, your day will always belong to whoever can ping you the most often or loudest. Here's why this matters. Your nervous system treats unexpected notifications as little "check this now" alarms. Even if you don't open them, a part of your brain has already left the task in front of you to wonder, what is it? Is it important? Is someone upset? Over time, that constant low-level vigilance exhausts you. By muting non-essential notifications during focus blocks and setting specific times you'll check messages, you give your brain permission to relax into the work. You're still a responsible coworker, friend, or partner, you're just not available 24/7 on demand. That's the behavior of someone who values their attention as much as their time. You can use this microscript with people and with yourself: I check messages in batches, not all day. When someone expects instant replies, you can extend it a bit: hey, I check messages in batches, not all day, so if I don't reply right away, that's why. I'll get back to you this afternoon. Picture a typical workday in a North American office, or at your home setup. You're in the middle of a 25-minute block writing a proposal. Your phone is on the desk, and you've got desktop notifications turned on for email, Slack, and your calendar. A new email banner appears: urgent, client feedback. Slack chimes with a new mention. Your calendar pops a reminder for a meeting later. The old response is to immediately flip screens. You abandon the proposal, open the email, skim it, feel a little tension, switch to Slack, type half a response, then get sucked into a thread that has nothing to do with the client at all. The proposal is now fragmented across 3 different bursts of attention, and you leave the block feeling scattered. Instead, you decide to run your day with focus modes and reply windows. You put your phone on Do Not Disturb during 25-minute blocks, with exceptions only for truly critical calls. On your computer, you turn off the little pop-up banners. You set 2 windows in your calendar, say, 11:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. for message batch. When someone at work complains that you're slower to answer, you send your line, "Hey, I check messages in batches, not all day, so if I don't reply right away, that's why. I'll get back to you this afternoon." Now, when that urgent email arrives during your block, you don't see it in your face. You complete the proposal segment, then, during your message window, you give the email your full attention. The tiny action: choose one category, maybe social media, maybe email, maybe Slack, and turn off non-essential notifications for the next 24 hours. Then, pick 1 or 2 times today when you'll check that channel on purpose. You're not cutting yourself off, you're reclaiming your right to decide when you'll respond. Now we step into the social pressure that can break your focus even when your tools are set up right. People. Co-workers, managers, friends, partners, kids, they all have needs, and many of them are used to you being instantly available. If you don't learn how to communicate your focus blocks clearly, you'll end up either resentfully saying yes to every interruption or hiding your boundaries and hoping nobody notices. The shift here is to state your focus windows and your availability in plain language. If you never do this, you'll keep trying to protect your attention in secret, which almost always fails the moment someone pushes back. This works because clear boundaries reduce confusion on both sides. When you say, "I'm heads down on X until Y time, then I can talk," you're not rejecting the other person. You're telling them when they can have your full, non-distracted presence. You also give yourself something to lean on when you feel guilty. You already communicated your plan. As someone practicing greater self-respect, part of your identity is "I protect my focus so I can show up better later," not "I abandon my important work every time someone else wants something immediately." Here's a microscript you can adapt. I'm in a focus block for the next time. After that, I can reply/talk/help. For example, I'm in a focus block for the next 20 minutes. After that, I can help with this. Or, I'm in a focus block until 3. After that, I'll reply in detail. Picture a shared apartment in Toronto or Seattle. You're working from home at the kitchen table. Your partner or roommate comes in and starts venting about something that happened at work, or your kid wants your attention right as you've finally gotten into a flow with a report. The old pattern is either to snap, "Can you not right now? I'm busy," or to drop everything and listen while your work brain quietly panics about the deadline. Instead, you see their need and your need at the same time. You take a breath and say, "I'm in a focus block for the next 15 minutes. After that, I can give you my full attention. Is it okay if we talk then?" They may look disappointed for a second, but you've given a clear, respectful time. 15 minutes later, you close your laptop or switch screens and actually listen without half-reading an email. Over time, this pattern teaches the people around you that when you're available, you're really available, and when you say you need focus time, you mean it. The tiny action: today, use that line once with one person. It could be at work, at home, or over text. I'm in a focus block for the next time. After that, I can reply/talk/help. You're not just protecting your attention, you're modeling a healthier way to relate to time and availability. There's another leak we need to plug: how you start your day. If you begin every morning by reaching for your phone, checking email, scrolling social media, and reacting to whatever you see, you've already surrendered your attention before you've done anything that matters to you. The shift here is to claim a first focus block of the day for your highest impact work, on one screen, before you open the floodgates. If you skip this, your whole day tends to tilt toward reactivity, and your most important tasks get whatever energy is left over. This works because mornings usually carry your freshest mental energy. Even if you're not a morning person, the early part of your awake time is often less cluttered with other people's demands. By reserving a 25-minute one-screen block for something meaningful, planning your day, working on a key project, doing deep work, you send a signal to yourself: my priorities come first. It aligns with a Stoic idea you might recognize from Meditations, where Marcus talks about starting the day by remembering what's in your control and what isn't. You're doing that in a practical way, controlling your first screen and first task. You can use this simple line as you start: before I open the world, I'll focus on one thing that matters. That one thing could be work-related or personal, but it's chosen, not random. Imagine a weekday in Vancouver, Chicago, or Montreal. Your alarm goes off at 7 a.m. The old pattern is to grab your phone, scroll through notifications, open email just to see, then fall into Instagram or TikTok for 15 to 20 minutes. By the time you get up, your head is already full of other people's opinions, requests, and crises. Instead, you decide to run a new pattern. The phone stays face down on the nightstand until after your first block. You get up, splash water on your face, grab coffee or water, and sit at your desk or kitchen table. You open one screen, your planning doc, your most important work project, or even a personal writing file. You say, before I open the world, I'll focus on one thing that matters. You start a 25-minute timer. For that block, you don't check texts, email, or social media. When the timer ends, you've already given your best attention to something you chose, and you can now open your inbox or social feeds without immediately feeling behind. The tiny action: tomorrow morning, reserve just one 25-minute block before you open email or social media. Decide tonight what screen it will be. Write it on a sticky note if you have to. First block, task. You're not trying to overhaul your whole morning routine, you're just shifting the first move. Even with all this structure, your brain will have moments when it wants to bail from a focus block. Maybe the task feels boring, maybe it's emotionally heavy, or maybe you've just hit a hard part and your mind wants relief. In those moments, it's easy to abandon the block entirely just this once and slip into scrolling, snacking, or jumping to another task. The shift here is to use a short, intentional pause instead of a full escape. You don't have to be a machine, you just need a better default response than run away. If you never build this, one uncomfortable moment will keep blowing up entire blocks. This works because urges pass. The urge to check your phone, open another tab, or walk away from the task spikes and then falls, usually within seconds or a minute or two, if you don't feed it. A brief pause, standing up, taking a few breaths, looking away from the screen helps your nervous system reset without abandoning the block. You're teaching yourself that discomfort inside a focus block is survivable. As someone who wants to be less reactive and more intentional, this is a core skill, noticing an impulse and not obeying it immediately. You can use this line when the urge hits: I can pause without quitting. When you feel the itch to escape, say it, take a small physical reset, and then return to your one screen for the rest of the block. Picture you on a Zoom-heavy day. You've just finished a meeting and have a 25-minute window before the next one. You decide to use it to outline a proposal. 10 minutes in, you hit a tough section. Your mind feels foggy, you're a bit annoyed at a comment from the last meeting, and your hand drifts toward your phone. The old pattern is to say, whatever, I'll just scroll for a bit, I'm too tired. Then the meeting starts, the proposal is barely touched, and the stress level stays high. Instead, you notice the urge and say quietly, I can pause without quitting. You stand up, walk to the window, look outside, and take 10 slow breaths. It takes maybe 60 to 90 seconds. Then you sit back down, restart your attention on the same one screen, and write out the rest of the block. The proposal might not be perfect yet, but you didn't let one hard moment hijack the whole thing. The tiny action: in your next focus block, when you feel like bailing even a little, try a 60-second pause instead. Stand up, breathe, look away from your screen, repeat I can pause without quitting, and then come back to the exact task you were doing. You're teaching your brain a new way to respond to discomfort. The last major piece of this method is how you end your work blocks in your day. Most people just drift away from tasks, a meeting ends, they close the tab, and their brain is left holding all the loose ends. Did I actually finish that? What's next? Did I forget something? That's where a lot of mental drag and nighttime anxiety comes from. The shift here is to build a small completion ritual. When you finish a block, you don't just stop, you mark what got done, note what's next, and close the screen on purpose. If you never do this, your mind will keep trying to hold every unfinished thread in the background, which makes true rest almost impossible. This works because your brain loves clear endings. When you write down what you completed and what you'll do next time, you free up working memory. A short completion ritual also makes progress visible. Instead of thinking, I did stuff, I guess, you can see specific blocks of work accumulating. That's motivating. It's also aligned with how Epictetus talks about training, repeated, conscious practice of small behaviors that build character over time. You're not chasing a high productivity, you're training yourself to finish cleanly. Here's the line that anchors the ritual: this block is complete. Next time, at the end of a 25-minute block, you say it, then fill in the blank in a notebook or digital note. Imagine your workday in a co-working space or home office somewhere in the US. You've just completed a 25-minute block working on a marketing campaign. The old behavior is to stop when the timer beeps, quickly flip to email, and lose the sense of where you left off. Later, when you come back, you waste 5 minutes trying to remember what you were doing. Instead, you let the timer go off, take a breath, and open a small note labeled with today's date. You write, Block 1, drafted the first half of the campaign email. Next time, I'll finish the call to action section and add examples. You say out loud or in your head, this block is complete. Next time, I'll finish the CTA section. Then you close the document you were working in. At the end of the day, you also take 2 minutes to skim your note, a list of blocks and what got done. You end by writing 3 sentences about what tomorrow's first block will be. Now, when you shut down your laptop, your brain isn't spinning on what am I forgetting? It knows where things stand and what's next. The tiny action, at the end of your very next focus block, don't rush into the next thing. Take 1 minute to write 1 or 2 sentences, what you just completed, and what you'll do next time you touch that task. Say, this block is complete. Next time, and then honor it by actually closing the screen. It's Friday night in a mid-sized city. You've had a long week. You're home around 7 p.m., still a little wired from work, and the weekend is trying to pull you in 3 directions. Your boss sent a message at 4:55 p.m. asking if you could just take a quick look at a presentation before Monday. Your group chat is lighting up about plans for Saturday. Someone you're dating, or your partner, is on the couch across from you, scrolling their own phone but clearly hoping you'll be present. In the past, this exact setup has ended badly. You tried to juggle everything at once, got snappy with the person you care about, and then spent the night feeling guilty and restless. Tonight, you decide to use the tools you've built. You drop your bag, get a glass of water, and instead of collapsing into the couch with your phone, you sit at the table with your laptop. Before you open anything, you define the outcome. For this block, done looks like reviewing that presentation and sending one clear response. You start a 25-minute timer and bring up one screen, your boss's slide deck. You mute notifications and put your phone face down. For 25 minutes, you're fully there with that one task, making comments, adjusting a couple of slides, considering what actually needs to be done before Monday. Halfway through, your group chat starts popping off. You feel the urge to grab your phone, but you remember, I work in 25/5 cycles now, not in endless amounts of time. You stay with the deck. When the timer ends, you use your completion ritual. You write a quick note, Friday block, reviewed Monday presentation, left comments on sections 3 to 5. Next time, I'll skim once more on Monday morning before the meeting. You say, this block is complete. Next time, I'll skim once more on Monday. You send one clear message to your boss, I reviewed the deck and left comments on sections 3 to 5. It's in solid shape for Monday, I'll do one more skim that morning. Then you close the laptop. The work piece is done for tonight. Now you check your phone, but not in a panic. You batch your replies, maybe sending a quick voice note to the group chat about your Saturday availability. You consciously decide not to open Instagram or TikTok yet. You walk over to the couch and sit next to the person you care about. They look over, expecting you to still be half in your work brain, but you're not. You say, I'm in a focus block for the next 30 minutes with you. After that, I might check my phone again. It's a playful twist on your usual line, but it's true. For the next half hour, your one screen is no longer digital, it's this conversation, this presence. Later in the evening, another message comes in from a coworker about one quicker thing. The old version of you would have grabbed the phone immediately, felt the stress spike, and maybe snapped, why are they bothering me right now? Instead, you notice the urge, and you use that pause you've practiced. I can pause without quitting, you think. You let the phone sit there while you finish your sentence and the conversation you're having. Then you excuse yourself, walk back to the table, and decide you'll handle this in a single 25-minute block or not at all tonight. In this case, you choose not at all. You send one short message: I'm away from my laptop for the night. I'll look at this first thing Monday. You defined a clear ending. You end the night with a brief completion ritual for your week. You jot down what you handled, reviewing the presentation, setting boundaries on your time, being fully present with someone, and what Monday's first block will be. Instead of lying in bed replaying every unfinished task, you fall asleep with a sense of control. You didn't do everything. You did the right things, one screen at a time, and you stopped the cycle that used to turn Friday nights into emotional landmines. What we've really been talking about is the difference between scattering your attention and owning it. Multitasking makes you feel busy but leaves you with a life full of half-finished efforts and constant low-level stress. The one-screen rule, the 25/5 cadence, and the completion ritual give you a way to respond to your work and your relationships with intention, instead of reacting to every ping and impulse. First, we stepped into that kitchen table moment where everything was open and nothing was finished, and we set the stage. Your attention was not the problem, your setup was. Then we created your one-screen rule, so that when you sit down to work, there is only one active screen that matters for that block. Next, we put your time into a simple 25/5 rhythm, so you work in focused sprints instead of indefinite mush, and you give your brain predictable breaks. After that, we zoomed in on clarity, defining one concrete outcome per block with that for this block, done looks like, line, so you're no longer sinking energy into vague tasks. We then adjusted your digital environment by muting non-essential notifications and setting message batch windows, so your tools finally support your focus instead of sabotaging it. From there, we handled the people side, giving you language to say, I'm in a focus block for the next time. After that, I can reply/talk/help, so you protect your attention without disrespecting anyone. We also claimed your first block of the day for your priorities, choosing one important task before you open the world. Then we trained you to write out discomfort inside a focus block with I can pause without quitting, instead of letting one hard moment blow up the whole session. Finally, we walked through that Friday night story where you used all of this together: one screen, 25/5 cadence, clear boundaries, and a completion ritual to turn a historically stressful situation into a calm, intentional evening. Now it's time to make this real. Today, pick one 25-minute block and run it with the one-screen rule and a defined outcome. Before you start, say, for this block, done looks like, and then honor it. Then, choose one channel: email, social media, or messaging, and turn off non-essential notifications for the next 24 hours, setting 1 or 2 specific windows when you'll check it on purpose. Finally, before you go to bed tonight, take 2 minutes to write a tiny completion ritual for the day. List 1 or 2 things you actually finished, and one clear task you'll tackle in your first focus block tomorrow. If this resonated, next you'll want to watch the lesson on designing friction-light environments, where we go deeper into how your physical and digital spaces either make focus easy or make it feel impossible. Think of it as build a desk that works for you, but for your entire attention ecosystem. If you feel messages like this need to reach more people, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next lesson.